Hello and welcome to episode 557 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. And join me as always is the glorious LeagueFreak. You can also find on Twitter at LeagueFreak. How you going there, mate?
I'm going very well, Andrew. How are you doing?
I was going to say, no, it's been miserable, but no, I'm actually perfectly fine. I have zero issues whatsoever. Excellent. I don't know why the entire rugby league community is all up in arms, but we'll chat about this.
Yeah, so let's do a quick timeline about what's happened, right? So Let's go back. I think it was last year where basically Lachlan Galvin started to come on as a player and asked for a release from the West Tigers, and they turned him down.
This was this after a game against the Dragons?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. I think it was on the Wollongong or somewhere like that.
Okay. And, you know...
Yes, and the Tigers, that's right, it was. The Tigers had lost 56-14. It was round 14.
Okay.
And they just lost 10 games in a row or something like that.
Now Galvin, we'd already seen signs that he was a pretty handy young player. And with how bad the West Tigers have been, it was kind of understandable. So he asked for a release, and he's asked for a release a couple of times, and the Tigers have said no because he's got a contract with them. That's fair enough. Now, this week, the Tigers went to his management and sat down with them and said, we have a 5-year, $6 million contract we'd like to offer Lachie Galvin. And his management basically said, don't bother. He's not going to re-sign with the club. He will see out his contract. If you give him a release, we'll take it, but he's not re-signing with the club. And the club put out a press release, said they're not going to have Lachlan Galvin beyond the 2026 season. That's when his contract runs out. And basically things started being put out to the media from there. Some of it was a little bit gross. Other stuff was just, I think, being made up. But as we've seen today, there's been a bit of a reaction from West Tigers players, and they don't like what's happened and how it's been played out. So some of the stuff that happened was basically as soon as the West Tigers put out the press release and said they weren't going to re-sign him, the next thing we heard was that, and this is all in the media, so you don't know what's real and what's not real, because as soon as that press release went out, I think there's been a lot of misinformation that's been put out there by both sides.
Well, yeah, but and also, the media have been they've been on the ground, not sitting at Concord. I mean, close to it anyway, somewhere in Moore Park in their studio where they always sit drinking alcohol, probably.
Yes.
Making up these stories instead of actually going to the source and reporting on stuff because, fuck that, who can be bothered?
And kowtowing to exactly what the line is out of a player's manager. And
exactly. That's where the news comes from.
Yeah. So the first thing that came out after the press release was that Lachlan Galvin, and I thought this was pretty rough, and I didn't like it, and I think this is probably what has pissed off the West Tigers players. He didn't think Benji Marshall was the coach that was going to be able to get the best out of him.
Now, I don't know if that's something that he said or not, because I've found no evidence anywhere that suggests that he actually said that.
He's 19.
Well, that's right. And how many coaches has he had in his NRL career?
Yeah.
Just the one. So, I mean, how would he know? But so it's dubious, but at the same time, there's nothing that the corporate media love more than having an axe to grind against a coach. And obviously they've slowly turned on Benji after he proved that you don't need to be a maniac who doesn't sleep and doesn't see his family in order to be an NRL coach.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like the fact that he's proved them wrong a little bit on that.
Yeah, and look, last year, even though they had terrible results, you and me talked about this, you could see his influence as a coach on the team. He didn't have the cattle at all, but you could see the things he had implemented as a coach, and that's half the battle with a young coach, that you don't know they've got that ability, and he had that ability. Now, this year we've seen a continuation of that, and the Tigers at times look really bloody good. Like, they just do. So, if I had to say, is Benji Marshall, and it could go either way. You never know with coaching. But I've got to say, Benji Marshall, for what he stepped into, it is his first coaching role, and where the club is now, I can't imagine anybody else doing better, to be honest with you. So I don't see Benji Marshall as being a problem for this club overall in terms of his coaching. I don't look at him as the weak link. And look, as a 19-year-old footballer, I just don't think you'd be thinking about the coach's ability to get the best out of you. I don't think your mindset's there. It's the sort of thing that somebody that's older would think about. And I could understand if, his management team or the people around him maybe thought that about Benji Marshall, but I don't for a second think that Galvin himself is thinking stuff like that.
No, neither do I. So we had that story come out. Then the next story, from what I can gather, is once Galvin had made the decision not to stay at the Tigers, that Luai and a few of the other senior leaders at the club went to Benji Marshall and said, if he's not going to be here, then we don't want to play alongside him.
Well, something that I heard, another line I heard out of the Galvin side through the media, could be real, could be bullshit, was that Galvin felt that Benji Marshall was very close to Luai and was giving him priority over Galvin himself. Now,
I think there was actually video of Galvin saying that, or someone saying that in the preseason, but they kind of said it, but didn't say it in a way where they were overly serious. Like, they said it and they sort of had a bit of a laugh about it afterwards.
Okay.
He's like, okay, well, it seems like that is the case. But they go, well, you know what? He's your big name player, so of course he's going to treat him like that. And that was basically the tone of it. So you went, okay, there's nothing in that. You move on. Yeah.
Now, in that situation, and people look at Jerome Luai a certain way. Jerome Luai is one of the greatest winners we've had in Australian Rugby League history. He just is. And he was a leader on the best team in the modern era, and he's gone to a club on big money, and he's been a leader at the Tigers. And there's some shit that I would suggest you shouldn't say about Jerome Luai, and that sort of stuff is probably really high on the top of the list. And so I think that is where the Tigers play. And when you talk about the seniors Tigers players, and most of them are former Panthers players that all know what it takes to win, it's been reported that they went to Benji Marshall and they weren't happy about it. And then I read a thing earlier where apparently Galvin was asked to have a talk to the team. And,
so he was told to address the team.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he was saying things like, I wanted to just let the club know as early as I possibly could that I wasn't going to be around, so that they had plenty of time to work out, what they were going to do with their roster without me there. And he said, that's the absolute truth of it.
And apparently the players just told him to wrap it up quick because he's pissed them all off, it sounds like.
So there's a quote here from him. He says, the club were eager to get a deal done, and so they called a meeting with my management last week. I could have mulled over this decision all season, but I didn't think that was the right thing to do. I thought it would be best for everyone to make the call now rather than drag it out. Any suggestion that I already have a deal done at another club for 2027 is simply not true. I'm extremely grateful to be able to go to work every day as an NRL football, and the West Tigers have played a massive role in the opportunity I have to play this game. I just feel that as I move into an important period of my development as a half, that I continue to build my game at a different club. Again, I know this might be hard for some people to understand, but I make this decision in the best interest of my career.
I want to ask you how you feel about this as a West Tigers fan.
I genuinely, even if he even if the club had done him bad or something like that or whatever, I just go, you know what? Name for me a club where this hasn't happened before. But it happens, like, this sort of thing happens every year, and it's happened to nearly every club. Just go, you know what? I'm not that fussed. Would I rather he stayed? Of course. But at the same time, if there is discontent between him and the rest of the players, then he's doing everyone a favour by removing himself. That's going to help the club out an awful lot. The thing that the Tigers have got in their favour is they've got a young halfback who is similar age in Latu Fainu, who can just take over. And he's an actual halfback, which means Luai can move to his preferred position of 5'8" if he wants to.
And they've dropped Galvin for this upcoming game, and
that's right.
It's going to be hard for him to get back in that side.
And so, because they've made this decision like today to drop Galvin, they've put Adam Dewey at halfback this week because I think it's a quick, easy solution. As I think Fine has probably just been playing in reserve grade or New South Wales Cup, so it might be a bit harder to get him up to speed and bring him up straight away. They'd probably prefer to give him a full week, training and stuff. So I think Dewey will be there this weekend only, and then we'll probably see Fine who gets moved up from next week.
There could also be the thought process that it's not the right time to bring that young dude in just yet. He might not be ready right now. And look, it's very rare that a halfback is ready for first grade football at the age of 19. So,
the thing is, there's only about 50 days difference in age between the two of them. Galvin's the younger of the two by fuck all. They're both about to turn 20.
So because it would have been really easy for them to bring him in, and it would have been.
Well, he played 2 weeks ago at halfback along with Galvin.
Yeah.
When Lua was there.
But it would have been easy for them to bring him in this week. The club says, "Look, here's the next big thing," and it would have been a positive for the club and stuff. And the fact that they haven't done that, to me, says that they're actually doing things that are good.
Yeah, they're protecting him. They don't want this guy to come into a shitstorm. Yeah, and as we know, it'll take an hour. It'll take a week for a lot of this to sort of blow over. They'll still be talking about it, of course, but it seems like if the players get their way, which is not a bad thing all the times, then this could end up being a pretty decent thing. If the Tigers have a good performance again this week, then you can bring Fino in next week and it'll be fine. It'll all be fine. The other thing that's been weird too, as I saw, is Phil Gould has been talking up Galvin ridiculously. Have you seen some of his comments?
Look, I haven't, but it's funny because a couple of weeks ago he was saying that it was a disgrace that a young guy could be looking at getting so much money when he's only just starting his first grade career. And then when all of this stuff sort of happened, I thought, I bet Phil Gould changes his tune.
Okay, here's some quotes, 3 of them by Phil Gould on Lachlan Galvin.
Okay.
First one. And the first one is just laughable. I'm not saying this because Lachlan Galvin isn't good, but I think he's the best teenage footballer I've ever seen. I think what he's doing is absolutely extraordinary. You go,
yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? You brought Brad Fittler into first grade.
Like, just off the
top, football the second year he was playing.
Just off the top of my head, like, first of all, I've heard a lot of very good judges say it was Greg Alexander's the best young teenage footballer they've ever seen. Then Brad Fittler, as you say, Jared Hayne was another one that I think Phil Gould himself was like, I remember, I knew he was going to be good, when his dad was dating his mum. Greg Inglis, who was like...
Inglis was insane.
Yeah, he was insane. Israel Folau.
Oh, true. I mean, look, Fittler for me, though, stands out because he managed to get his way into the Australian Test side at a time when you had just you can name a myriad of players who would have been competing with for 5'8" centre lock back then for, Australia, 1990, 1991. Lock, you still had Wayne Pearce is still around. You had Brad Mackay, Bradley Clyde. They were both there. 5'8", Laurie Daly, Kevin Walters. It's a long list. Wally Lewis was still playing Origin at that time.
Yeah, I mean, you had...
Centres, you got Mel Meninga, Steve Renoff, they're there already. Michael O'Connor was playing. Andrew Eddinghausen.
Yeah.
Mark McGaw. They're all there. And we're only naming a few. Terry Lamb was still playing. He was still playing, rep footy. There are so many great players at the peaks of their career. And Fittler made his way to that side.
And it wasn't questioned. It was it wasn't like, it was like, Brad Fittler, of course.
They are all-time fucking legends of the game.
Yeah.
How many of the current Test players would be comparable with those guys when you look back on the game in 20, 30 years' time? And that's what I'm getting at, is that's where Fittler was. He was amongst them at the age of 19. All right. Galvin, yes, he is a great young talent. I'm not disparaging, not saying anything negative about that. But to think that he's better at that age than someone who'd already played Test football and won a premiership and played Origin against some of the all-time elites the game has seen in the last 50 years. Hey, come on, Phil.
Yeah.
Come on, Phil.
It's silly.
He's got two more quotes here.
Okay, go for it.
Lachlan Galvin will earn more money out of rugby league than any player in history.
Yeah. Look, when it comes to money, it's like until the next guy, really, isn't it?
Exactly right.
That's how it works. So that's those sorts. It's like when you see the headline, like the richest deal in rugby league history, and it happens every 5 years or so, because that's just how sports contracts work. Like the next big one is the biggest one ever. So it's just talking shit up.
In the future, whoever has Lachie Galvin in their side will be winning premierships.
That's outrageous. That's friggin' ridiculous to say that sort of stuff.
Yeah, at the moment, Daniel Fitzhenry's won more premierships than Lachlan Galvin. Let's just remember that, shall we?
Shane Perry.
I was about to say him. So he's another mark. that's a high benchmark, that one there. So yeah, it's crazy. And so you get the impression that Gould is going to be chasing Galvin hard.
That's so funny. After he said that a couple of weeks ago, that is hilarious. These fucking clubs, and it's all of them. It's my club. It's your club, Andrew. Every single one of them are a bunch of two-faced lying pricks.
Of course they are.
They have zero morals. They'll pretend they've got morals, but when it comes to getting some talent, they will chuck all that out the window in a second. And like Phil Gould 2 weeks ago is like, he's talking about, to be a disgrace if, and like 2 weeks later when he could get a chance to have a talk with this young bloke's management, he drops to his knees. That's hilarious.
Now, what's been funny is there's been some comments by West Tigers players. So first one is Sunia Taruva has put a picture up of Lachie Galvin's locker. And he's got the theme music for Shane McMahon from the WWE in there, which is the song "Here Comes the Money."
I saw that. That was pretty funny.
I did find that funny. I also thought it was pretty funny, given that I'm pretty sure Taruva didn't take a pay cut to go to the West Tigers, but that's another point.
He didn't. And look, when I think in isolation, people would have kind of looked at it and thought, "Oh, this is just players having a bit of fun with each other." But if any of the stuff that's come out about the players' reaction to Galvin is true, then it's kind of a slam. But if it's a slam, it's like, dude, you just took money yourself. Like, it's a weird situation.
Yeah. So another one here was on social media. Tigers prop Fanua Pole liked a post which said about Galvin, "Unfucking believable. We give you a shot at first grade and hand you the keys to the franchise with every tool possible around you to succeed. See you, mate." Taruva has since put his profile private. I don't know why.
I do, because he doesn't need the fucking hassle.
Laura put up a picture of some cartoon thing. It's got just got Team First written on it. It's pretty funny. Braithen Nasser has said something along the lines of what Lua was commenting on. Said he's just pretty much said, if you don't want to be part of this team, see you later. Work your way back in.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, I wish someone had done that when Nasser was at the Tigers.
I feel like there's maybe a little bit to how the players did react to it. It's probably been overblown, but they didn't get Luai into the club to. This is exactly what you would have wanted out of Luai, is to say, all right, you don't want to be here, cool. We've got one goal, and if you don't want to be a part of it, that's fine. We're still chasing our goal. But it's been messy. One of the things that I've found interesting is that people have focused on the player manager, who has a history of making things messy and
it's not just making it messy. He's got a history of making it messy around key players that are contracted to the Tigers for some reason.
It seems to be the Tigers, yes.
Remember when we had the Big Four?
Yes.
They were all on his books. And so it's just this. It's just like, yeah, you know what? I think Benji knows from that experience. Just, you know what? Let's not fight too hard. If Isaac wants to take him somewhere, you're free to go, mate. Go do whatever you want. I'm not playing this game. And Benji's been stuck in this game with the club before, playing back and forth with the manager. And Benji just said, I think it was 2011 or 2012, and Benji just said, I ain't playing this game. If you pricks can't sort this shit out, I'm going to play rugby union. And they went, yeah, right. And then next thing you know,
and he did.
A week later, he was playing for the Auckland Blues.
And it's funny seeing people talk about this manager, and we've talked about him before and said how personally we wouldn't want our careers to be made as messy if we were players. But here's the thing. Every single one of his clients that he's had has been paid outrageous amounts of money.
Of course.
He gets exactly what he tells his clients he's going to get, and he will get exactly what he told Galvin that he's going to get. And I would be shocked if Galvin doesn't get the release he wants from the Tigers as well.
He's going to get the release because he's contracted to the club until the end of next season. There's no way, if there's this much discontent towards him already, there's no way the club will keep him there now. Yeah, and this is the problem, okay, is that as of right now, I don't believe the Tigers are actually paying Galvin all that much money. So it's not like by releasing him, they're freeing up much cap space because he's on whatever money he was on last year. He's not on big money right now. So I think some people have got this impression that, if we just get rid of him now, we can just find some big name replacement. Go, no, we're only going to free up, a few $100,000. It's not going to be $1 million.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, though, I wouldn't be shocked if behind the scenes, and I'm basing this on nothing, this is just a hunch. I wouldn't be shocked.
Hang on, are you a journalist now?
Yeah. Just making it up. I'm 15 schooners away from being a journalist. If I wouldn't be shocked if this was the sort of situation where someone at the NRL said to the West Tigers, keep him, so that they don't encourage this across other clubs.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I think we've seen a fair few cases of a player making a decision to sign to another club a year or so in advance, and the club eventually just says, yeah, no, we'll let you go.
Yeah, but I mean more along the lines of the young player.
Yeah, I just think as soon as he's sorted out which club he's going to, I would not be surprised if he's playing at that club next year. Okay, why would you care? Look at it this way, okay? If this discontent is true, why would you keep him there until the end of next year?
Oh, yeah, I would. Look, I would.
It's pleasing no one.
Yeah, it's just get rid of your problem.
If anything, what he should do, if the Tigers want to punish him, they should go and make him play for Salford for a year. Yeah, try and get some money now, pal. Enjoy it.
Just imagine it. Look, I put up a tweet before. Funnily enough, I use Twitter. Hey, I don't know if our listeners knew that.
See, that's the thing, okay, is that also if you're going to be a journalist, you need to have a burner account.
I know. I swear to God, I've been hit by burner accounts for a journalist. Because I'll say something about a journalist, and all of a sudden I'm bombarded by like a name and 57 numbers saying how these journalists is so good. It's like, all right. If the Penrith Panthers, because there was a point last year where there was talk that Galvin could go to the Panthers if he got a release. I don't know how true that was, but anyway, that was the talk in the media. If the Panthers went to the West Tigers and said, do you want to swap Blaze Talangi for Lachlan Galvin right now? Who would say no to that?
Tigers.
Why?
They don't need Talangi. Where's he going to play?
His talent that they could just grab. Put him in the centres, put him on the wing.
Don't need that.
I think they need everyone they can get, to be honest.
They might do, but in the back line, nah. Like, they've got so much young talent there, not just who's playing at the moment, but also coming through.
I know.
If I was the club, I wouldn't want to be spending, because Talangi's not on little money anymore either, so I'm not spending big money on a back when we've already got plenty of blokes who are just as serviceable. I'd be putting that money into a forward.
Okay.
That's what they need to do.
That's fair. I just thought, I was thinking around the league, like who could you look at getting that, you're losing a promising young player who's another promising young player that's shown a bit of something that would be a good addition to the club. And he was the first one that jumped out at me, and then I thought, like, going to the Panthers for Galvin would probably be a plus. But I don't think he's going to go to a team unless they can give him at least a whack of money next year, with the idea that then jumps up to over $1 million. And I don't know that the Panthers would be interested in paying another $500,000. Because look, when Cleary's contract comes up, or when the salary cap goes up, I wouldn't be shocked if Cleary's on $2 million a year. So, that'd be a lot of money poured into your halves.
Look, I implore, of all the clubs, the Gold Coast Titans to come to the table to the Tigers, say, you know what, we'll do your deal, right? As of right now, today, we'll take Galvin off your hands, and in return, we'll give you Tino. The Tigers can go, yeah, okay, that sounds all right. We'll do that. That's the sort of deal I'm keen on.
Okay.
I'm going to drive a hard bargain. You know what? Fuck it. That's what we're going with. I'll take Tino for Galvin.
Okay, let's have a think. Let's have a think of other moves like that, right?
Because Galvin can go in there and immediately improve the Titans. Because, who's going to be standing in his way? Who's their 5'8" at the moment when he's not injured?
I think honestly,
some old bloke.
It's 5'8" by committee at the moment for the Titans.
That's right. So, let's put Galvin in there. Can't tell me he's not going to improve that side immediately. We can take Tino. That's a like for like swap as far as I'm concerned. I'm happy with that.
See, the thing is, though,
I know it's not. I know it's bigger. It's better for the Tigers, but that's kind of the point.
They couldn't fit Tino because Galvin isn't on a big amount of money.
I know.
They'd have to have a whack still under their cap, and I don't know that they'd have.
Well, the Tigers have actually just freed up. I know it may not have been on the same amount of money, but they did just free up the money from Clemmer, and that money hasn't been chewed up. So they've got that space that's been freed up, and Bateman's money.
They're still paying Bateman though, aren't they?
To just some of it, but not all of it. So between those two, plus the money freed up by Galvin, it'd probably almost going close to, covering most of Tino's current contract.
I'm just trying to think of other clubs that would, like, at the end of the day, it comes down to what club Galvin wants to be at long term, I'm
almost certain he's going to a Sydney club.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he left Sydney.
I think it's if a good coach is what he's after, then he's not going to Parramatta. Not in a snowball's chances of going to Parramatta. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets immediately linked to the Roosters, because I think Moses has got a few players over at the Roosters already. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets linked over there straight away. And, They've always got a war chest.
I saw Roosters fans saying to me on Twitter, "Oh yeah, the Roosters don't deal with his manager anymore."
I bet they do.
They will.
They will. Because besides all of the negativity that's been going around him, okay, what is absolutely clear though is this kid is fucking good.
Yeah, he's good young player.
And he's going to get better. It doesn't matter who's coaching him, he's going to get better. But a good coach will be able to make him remarkably better. So it's going to be a smart coach, so that rules out Flanagan as well. And so now you're down to basically, I think it's going to be between Roosters, Bulldogs, and I do generally think Penrith will be looking at him.
Yeah,
because Penrith also does have the fucking money. And I know you said, they're going to try and make sure they've got enough to upgrade Cleary's contract, and they will.
Look, what it comes down to is the best situation for him to be without question, is playing in the 4-time Premiers team, and the dude that's inside of him. Well, I don't mean it like that. Maybe I do though. The guy on the inside.
How many schooners deep are you?
The guy on the inside is Nathan Cleary. Like, that is a absolute dream scenario football wise for
absolutely
like Galvin, and he like his playing style is just made for that team. Absolutely. If you could build someone in a lab, it would be that sort of playing style to put outside of Cleary right now.
Yep.
It's just, as I said, it's just a case of that is a lot of money to wrap up there, and they would probably lose other players eventually because of it. But is it something you just deal with? And I think push comes to shove if I'm the Panthers, and it's like we can sneak him in at the moment, and down the track we're going to have to pay him a whack of money. But he comes into this team, he's exactly what we need. We might have to offload a couple of players. Let's just do it. It's an embarrassment of riches.
I don't think the Panthers have to offload anyone for him, because I think what people need to recognise is the fact that he didn't turn down the size of the contract for the Tigers. He turned down the Tigers.
Yeah.
Right? So I wouldn't be surprised if the same deal the Tigers offered, or maybe even one slightly less, by a club that he wants to go to, he would accept. I think he just made up in his mind he doesn't want to be at this club. That's it. And I think there's a little bit of prima donna sort of stuff about him, because he would have thought that, I was at the Tigers before Luai was, but Luai's walked in and automatically he's the bee's knees all of a sudden with the coach, and he's never played for this club before. And I've been here when I was a teenager, and, I helped them, and, they were building the club around me, and all of a sudden I'm not the center of attention anymore. That's probably where some of his attitude's coming from, and that's fair enough. But I think if it was the other foot around and he went into a new club, and then all of a sudden he was basically Luai coming to the West Tigers, I think his attitude would change and he'd be a bit different. And if he's going there purely to improve his career, then, pretty good coach to go to improve your career. When you played alongside the bloke who didn't exist until Ivan Cleary came along. And look what he did.
Yeah, and look, I understand it's a sickening prospect for other fans for us to be sitting here and saying, but Penrith would be a great situation for him. It's kind of gross on a certain level. And it feels weird for me to be talking about it, because I
don't know, man. Because the Panthers have lost so many players, especially in the last 2 years. Not just number of players, but the quality of players they've lost.
Yeah.
We're finally seeing it this year how much of an impact it's having, and I do believe that is almost entirely down to Luai's departure more than anything else.
Yeah.
And people are going to say that's pretty weird, but it's not weird. If you've ever spent any time watching Luai, when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, you see how much he organises the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to be a great defender, but he's got a great defensive mind, and he knows how to organise the defensive line. And if you need evidence of that, have a look at the fact that the Tigers are no longer being fucking hammered every week. And the one time they did get hammered was the week he didn't play.
Yeah, and it's funny. I saw a video I think Channel 9 had put it out on YouTube, and it was like, the title of it was like, was Luai more important to the Panthers than they realised? It's like everyone realised that paid any sliver of attention. Like these people that, and you and me joked about it. We were saying like when he goes to the Tigers and he makes a big difference, people will be like, oh wow, this Jerome Luai is actually pretty good. It's like, yeah, you should have seen his entire career so far. Kind of tipped us off to it.
You're too busy looking at his post-try celebrations to realise just what he's actually doing on the field.
Yeah,
and you'll read his Instagram posts instead of actually watching play footy.
Exactly. It's like it's funny enough, he's been one of the best players in the world for quite a number of years now. Look, it'd be weird if Galvin ended up at Penrith. I think it's more likely that he'll end up at like I saw Manly linked to him. I think it was yesterday. I think he'll end up going to say a Manly or a Roosters where they need somebody to build around going forward, and they can just chuck a giant amount of money at him, and he gets the money, he gets the long-term deal he wants, and it's all set like that. Whereas I think if he went to the Panthers, there'd be a lot of massaging that would have to happen. Where in terms of like short term, he's not going to walk into a $1.2 million contract, for instance. They might say to him, look, we'll offer you a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal or whatever, and then after that, we can look at giving you the big money. But the Panthers have that luxury of saying that, whereas a team like the Roosters or the Manly Sea Eagles, they kind of, if there's a chance to get a player like this and it's going to cost them, say, $1.2 million a year, they kind of have to do it. You know what I mean?
Panthers, yeah, I know, but I mean, surely the Panthers have got plenty of money in the cap because they only bought Talangi in the off-season, and look who they lost.
I would guess that a lot of their salary cap just gets taken up by the contracts they've got that ratchet up as the salary cap goes up.
They may well do, but I mean, surely, man, I think they've got enough cap space, and if he wants to play for Penrith, he'll accept whatever deal they throw at him.
It's the same thing that we said with Blaze Talangi. Like, go there for a couple of years, and when you leave, you will get a big contract. And if he wanted to go to the Panthers for the rest of this year and say next year, and it said, I will be definitely leaving after 2026 without question, and I will be on the same contract that I was at the West Tigers. After 2026, he is going to be one of the best paid players in the game.
Yeah.
Like, without question.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the point I was making the last time we spoke about him, was that you don't need to go and throw all your entire lot into the ring for the next big contract. Like, when you're this young and then you're this talented, you don't sign long-term deals.
No.
Because it's bad for you financially. You sign 3-year deals, 2-year deals, right? Because you're still going to keep improving.
If a team comes along and says, we'll give you a 10 or 12-year deal for $20 million.
Well, fair enough. Absolutely. You're not turning that shit down.
That's like the only reason you sign a long-term deal.
Yeah. Other than that, you just sign 3-year deals. You don't sign long-term deals until you get to your late 20s. Because your playing career, your skill set, everything's going to start going down once you hit 33, 34 years of age. You want to be making sure you're still on close to the maximum amount of money you can get at that time. You don't want to be doing 2 and 3 year deals then, because you'll be getting lesser and lesser and lesser. You know, so the smart money is first 2 deals. If you're a tenant, first 2 deals should be 3-year deals, and then you do your 5-year deals afterwards. You've spent those first 2 contracts proving your worth and building your name and, you know, becoming a rep star, that sort of thing. Then you sign the big deal when you're on the big money. Hey, that's what Thurston did. Makes sense.
Yeah. That's
where the money is. Now, speaking of Thurston.
Yeah, man, I forgot about this. It's funny.
I only just thought of it then as I mentioned his name. We're going, oh, yeah, he had a conversation with someone and someone got cranky, and I don't know what the hell it was all about.
So basically, here's what happened. So
fill me in.
So Spencer Leniu last year had his racism issue
Oh, yes, yes.
And then it was with Ezra Mam. I don't think anyone backed Spencer Leniu and what he said. I think it was basically 100%. Everyone said that he should have copped a ban, and he did. And then later in the year, Ezra Mam had his issues. But at the time when Spencer Leniu said what he did about Ezra Mam, Jonathan Thurston coming out was very strong about it, as I think most people were. And then Ezra Mam had his issues, and Jonathan Thurston didn't say much about it. Different situation. Like, we don't have to go to Jonathan Thurston on every single issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on the weekend, in his capacity with Channel 9, Jonathan Thurston apparently wanted to interview Spencer Leniu after the match. And Spencer Leniu basically said, like, no, like, I'm not doing this, and had a few words to say. And I just thought it was two dudes sorting out that they basically didn't want to talk to one another, and that was that. Then apparently afterwards, Thurston went to the Roosters and had a bit to say about it. But he didn't make an official complaint, but that was it. Like, nothing really happened. But for whatever reason, the media just loved it, absolutely loved it. And I didn't understand what it was all about. I just thought it was like a bunch of schoolgirls gossiping about something that they'd seen happen, because nothing really happened. It was two dudes that had a word to say with one another. No one heard what was said except those two. There were a couple of Channel 9 employees there as well, but it wasn't like anybody heard what was said. And that was it.
Well, I mean, Buzz heard.
Well,
because he would have had he's just emptied schooner glass against his ear upside down against the bar. He would have been listening to it.
He had his hearing aid.
I hear everything all right.
It was, I don't know, it was just a situation to me where, you know, Spencer Leniu didn't want to talk to Jonathan Thurston. Thurston tried to talk to him. Spencer Leniu basically had his say, and that was it. I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought it was a whole lot of nothing.
Everything's a big deal.
I know, right?
Yeah. I just look at it and going, okay, like, no one punched each other.
Yeah.
That's okay. We can move on. Like, I don't know. I didn't get what the.
I know, right?
Just seemed crazy.
And look, Spencer Leniu's he's a fucking real guy, man. Like, we saw when he was at the Panthers when remember when he was knocked out by that South player? Can't remember his name. He was the winger for South, and he knocked Spencer Leniu out with a terrible high tackle. And Spencer Leniu come to and was walking towards the sideline. The Panthers training staff were freaking out because Spencer Leniu was pissed off, and you don't normally see that sort of reaction with too many players. And so Spencer Leniu is the fucking real dude that you don't fuck with. And I just think I don't know, I just looked at it and was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That's how Spencer Leniu feels about this side of things. But it was a non-event to me. I didn't get the whole, I just didn't get it.
Nah, I don't know what's going on. It's nuts.
Yeah. Should we read an email?
I think we should. I think we should.
You know the best thing about me bringing up reading an email?
Yeah.
Is that my email just kicked me out of my email.
That's brilliant.
It's exactly the timing that I wanted, hey?
Because see, people love this unfiltered banter while you're trying to get some email being opened.
It's all right. I just got to finger it and it opens. So
we fill this time of our incompetence in dealing with messages from people with great skill and dexterity.
So we have an email here from Owen, who's our Irish rugby league listener.
Are you going to do it in an Irish accent?
No.
Damn.
No, because that's the last thing Irish people want. You know, it's like it's their Irish accent. Getting Irish accent from people is like when people say to us, like, "Oh, do you want to have a Foster's?" And it's like, no, just calm down. You know, So this is from Owen. So he says, "Hi lads,
top of the morning to you."
How dare you? Hi lads, hope the form is good. Firstly, I think an obvious admission from the psychopaths lineup has been shown this weekend with Spencer Leniu and his little outburst against JT. Although maybe Spencer is more suited to the psychopaths team, but that's another day that's another day's discussion." So he says, right, so Penrith. He talks a bit like me. It's kind of weird. "I'm going to start with some things I've noticed. One is the desire. There are little things that strike me as a team that is mentally tired. For example, their speed into shape was really poor against the Dolphins on numerous occasions. Off-the-ball work is a fairly quick determinant in where the team one is at. The things that take no talent. Additionally, even after 4 or 5 6 again calls, the Dolphins try after halftime, it felt like an easy score. Contrast that to the Storm game in 2021's preliminary final where the lads were willing to die on the pitch to prevent a score." I think he makes a really good point. There's an edge that's not there with them this year. And you see it on the defensive side of things. So I think he makes a good point.
I mean, I think I've been making similar points throughout the year, and and that is the things that change the most to let you know that a dynasty might be over is when the thing that's their core thing that they're known for stops working.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it before with I think with the Roosters when they not long after Cronk left, but around that time, even when he was in that last year there. Their attack, which used to score points pretty easily anywhere, stopped doing that. You went, oh, something's changed, and it's got worse. And we're seeing it with Penrith at the moment. Their defence has changed, and I was concerned last year before we even started playing that I thought that the way their defensive structure had to function was going to change without Luai there, and especially without Fisher Harris there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's changed enough to accommodate those losses, and we're seeing that.
Yeah, I think they've tried to plug in and play the personnel that they did get, and you need to do more than that.
Yeah, and then it's because what you had with Fisher Harris and especially is you didn't need to have him, needing help from two other guys to make tackles in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
He's a unique talent like that. He and just one other guy can do all that work in the middle, and usually it's just the hooker can do all of that. It's fine. And Luai, as I said before, he's just got an ability to keep the defensive shape strong every set, which just helps so much more. So losing those two they're hard to replace those sort of players, and it's off the ball stuff that they're doing that they're just phenomenal at, and it's not there anymore. Yeah. And I think they've just put two guys in there thinking it'll still work, and it doesn't. You could put two guys anywhere else in that defensive line and it would still work. We saw it tons of times in the last 5 years. But those two guys particularly, you had to get guys who were like for like off the ball in order to keep it going, and they don't have that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they fix that. They've got to change their defensive structure. I mentioned that last year, and I think it's something that's still strong, and I still don't think Cleary's doing enough to fix that aspect of their game. I'm talking about Ivan there.
Yeah. Look, I agree, and I understand their thinking, but it just hasn't worked out. And that's why the rest of this year, and look, I did that episode where I did the solo episode where I said I think that their dynasty is over in terms of winning premierships in a row, but they need to use the rest of this year to readjust to how the league is being played, to the lineup that they've got moving forward, and then aim for it the next couple of years, because they've still got the talent there to win premierships, but they need to adjust where they're at. And I think that's one thing we've seen. Going back to the email from Owen, and this is his email. Second issue is talent. Penrith just don't have the cattle. Yes, they have some of the best players in the world like Cleary, Yeo and To'o, but there is a vast gap to the weaker players in the match day squad. This wasn't the case over the last 4 years. Consider the drop-off to Jenkins, who is a decent NRL player but doesn't stack up compared to the left centres of previous years, such as Burton, Crichton or Alamotti. This is also seen in the front row where, unfortunately, Lizzie Smith and Henry aren't a patch on Fisher Harris. Penrith just don't have the cattle at the moment. In terms of what this means overall, in terms of what this means in overall team terms, Penrith's lack of pace out wide and punch in the front row, meaning they're really struggling to make inroads and put points on the board. Lastly, this is part of professional sport. We all saw the same thing in the Premier League this year with Man City, who fell to pieces after years of success under some soccer coach whose name I can't pronounce. Gural, I don't know, some soccer coach.
It's called Frank.
Frank.
Yep.
Imagine if that was his first name, if it was Frank. Additionally, Manchester United have never been the same team once the rot set in post Alex Ferguson's departure. I'd still back City to come back, although as a United fan, there seems to be only one way and it ain't up. So what's next for Penrith? I listened to a podcast with Matt Cameron, who's the CEO at the Panthers, on You Think. Very interesting listen and would highly recommend. He speaks at length about the development system, the culture and the alignment from top to bottom. The club is doing a huge amount right, and based on this, I think Penrith will be back. They have too many things they are doing right and too big of a talent pool to fail. They are proven in harvesting this talent, and from what you lads have said about their underage success in recent years, there are plenty of talented juniors to come through. This, along with the hurt of a shit year this season, will set them up for success in the future. This year could be rough, but I would be confident that the Panthers will have another 2 comps before the end of the decade. Yes, you can hold me to that. All the best, Owen. I agree with all of that.
You know what? I would wonder, maybe what Ivan's doing is he's gone, you know what? Winning consecutive premierships in the row and just dominating the season, it's getting a bit easy. Why don't we go after that one other record that's out there? And that was South in 1955, where they were at one stage in that season, like in the bottom 2 on the ladder.
Yep.
And then they won their last 8 straight games, scraped into the top 4, and then won all of their finals matches and the grand final. So maybe Ivan's just gone, let's do that, but make it a bit more, I don't know, dramatic.
Well, look, from all the things we have actually seen Penrith do over the last few years, you could not rule anything out. Like if somebody said, like Penrith are only going to be dead when they're dead. You know what I mean? Like It's going to, if they miss the finals, it is going to have to be like they literally cannot like make the finals at all. They can't score 60 points in the last game to make the finals. It's got to be beyond that. So until they're dead, they're still alive, and that's just judging on what we've seen. They're only a couple of wins back from the teams that are in and around the 8th place on the NRL ladder right now. So it's not too late, but in a couple of losses, if they lose, say, 2 more in a row, it might be too late. But I would agree that, like, you can't count this team out until they are physically out for good, because we've seen them do some outrageous stuff. And when it comes to the juniors, like, we've talked about the numbers game. They will spit out a couple of internationals over the next few years, because that's just what happens even when they were terrible at using their juniors. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do go. And like an over-under on premierships in the next 7 years, say, for instance, I think, what would you say? Like, I think 2 is a pretty good number. At the high end, maybe 4, maybe. But I think 2 is a pretty conservative, good number.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to tell. I think they should be able to get 1 more.
Yeah.
But 2 is just, that's the thing. I mean, who's coming? Who's going to be playing footy in 2030? Like, you don't know what fucking young gun's going to come up out of nowhere and could be the next big thing at Parramatta for all we know. I mean, it won't be, but it could be.
What if Parramatta gets a good young halfback? I'm sorry, I can't finish that. Look, Cleary.
The only way, look, let's be honest, okay? Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Just for Parramatta fans, okay? Because I think every season for the Eels fans, they get dick teased by their own in-house media and everything else about, you know what, this year's going to be our year. We're going to come back. The new era is about to begin. Let's be clear. Until you guys can get cloning sorted out and get like a lot of Peter Sterling's DNA.
Here's the thing, Andrew.
You're going to be completely fucked until you manage that.
This is how big of a dick tease it is. All we need is a strand of Peter Sterling's hair. Oh, fuck.
Alopecia's a bitch. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's all you got to do. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird voodoo. You know what they are? They're the modern day North Sydney Bears.
They are a little bit, aren't they?
They
are a little bit.
That's what they are. So maybe they need to relocate to the Central Coast, and then they can get out of the West Tigers' new home ground. Stop filling that with mediocrity. So it goes for Penrith. Get out of our home ground. Let us start playing that thing all the time.
Look, playing at Parramatta's killed the Panthers.
It has. The only team that's improved there has been the Tigers.
Yeah,
hashtag our jungle.
Our jungle, yeah. It's interesting to think about all the moves that could happen, like with players going to and from clubs and things like that.
Yeah, Penrith's got a squad that's still getting, like, a lot of them are getting around their mid to late 20s, so they've still got plenty of time.
Yeah.
To still perform great heroics. I think what screwed them over the most is the fact that the Luai departure obviously hurt them. I think the Fisher Harris one was unexpected, and they didn't get a chance to, cover that loss.
Yeah.
They just didn't. I think the best person that could have got to cover that loss would have been Adam Fanua-Blake, and they missed him because the Sharks got him before Fisher Harris left.
And the thing is that the entire system is set up to stop dynasties like this, and for good reason. And it's fine. Like, the salary cap is a good thing. You want to see as many teams being able to compete. You want the talent to be spread around and stuff. It's just that, like, this Panthers side that we've seen over the last number of years is this gigantic anomaly that we haven't really seen since the Dragons. Like, if there was no salary cap to worry about, and you think of all of the players that the Panthers have lost, we would be talking about, like, can this team equal the Dragons if they still had Crichton and they still had all of these players? Yeah. And they didn't have to worry. Like, we would be like Burton is their backup 5'8", and he's playing in the centres. Like, if they didn't have a salary cap, we would be starting to think of that Dragons team. But we have a salary cap for a really good reason, and it's fine and it's good. And I think the fact that the Panthers have been able to overcome the salary cap for as long as they have is absolutely outrageous and says a lot about where they are placed in history. And I think if you said that this Panthers team even was going to win one more premiership over the next, say, 7 years, and I use 7 years because, like, you're sort of trying to line it up with where Cleary's career might end, Yeah. If they did win one more premiership, you're starting to say, well, are they the second best team of all time? Like, they're starting to become into that sort of area, which is a pretty good low point to be aiming for, Like, if that's your low point, like, if the low point is, oh no, they didn't win another premiership during Cleary's career and they're only the third best team of all time, I'll take that.
So look, it's not all doom and gloom either, even
No.
with the Panthers currently either. I mean, yes, their defense has dropped off horribly. But in saying that, people need to recognize, have they actually been getting flogged? You go, let's see. They beat Cronulla by 6. They lost to the Roosters by 6. They lost to Melbourne by 6. They lost to South by 10. They lost to the Cowboys by 4. And they lost to Dolphins by 18. You could probably argue that the loss to the Dolphins last week was their worst performance so far.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, that Dolphins performance was like this scrambling defense in that game.
It was one of their best performances in their short history so far.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're absolutely dog shit. Their defense is woeful.
Yeah,
but
out wide.
It's at the point, though, where a few little tweaks, and that's all it is. It's not a cultural thing. It's a few changes out wide that will fix it. And if they can just prevent 2 tries in a game, their attack is doing enough already to be able to win those games.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start seeing them winning games. So, I'm not too. If I was a Panthers fan, I wouldn't be too concerned. Sure, it's not great, but at the same time, once you get through these next 3 games, which is Roosters, Manly, Brisbane, and it's mainly because those 3 sides are just awkward for a team that's struggling because they can drop in and out of good form at the drop of a hat. They've got the Cowboys in round 10. From round 11 to round 18, they have 3 buys. A lot of time off. And amongst that, they play Parramatta, the Tigers, and Newcastle. Newcastle at the moment don't know how to score points.
Yeah.
At all.
They're terrible. They are so bad.
So I got a stat. I know you saw it. You liked it. And that is, this is the worst attacking start to a season by a Newcastle side since the 1909 Newcastle side. It's dire. Like, the Knights aren't even scoring 10 points a game. And as I told you, like, many years ago, I did all the research and found that the score that you have a consistently improving rate of winning above 50% is 19.
Yeah.
At the moment, if the Knights score double what they're currently averaging, they're still not at 19.
Yeah.
Like, they are that far off the pace. They've scored 10 points in their last 273 minutes of football.
There was a stat. I hope he doesn't mind me talking about it. Ben Darwin sent it to me. This is outrageous. Okay, it's from Ben Darwin, and he sent it to me after that Knights lost. This is the 50th different spine that Ponga has played in at the Knights. How crazy is that?
That's fucking insane.
50th different spine.
Wow.
So that was Ben Darwin from Gainline Analytics. We've had him on before. When he sent me that, I just could not believe it. It's 50th different spine. If you were doing that on purpose, it would be difficult to do.
Yeah, I think there's players who have probably gone a whole career playing in 50 different spines.
Yeah. Like, keep in mind, Ponga's one of those players, so he is always there.
Yeah. That's
crazy.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
And this is only his 10th season.
That's crazy.
And his first season doesn't count because he had 2 games off the bench, I think, or a wing or something like
that. It's difficult for them to be that bad.
It's also put into perspective. He's played 139 NRL games.
Yeah.
So he's basically, every 2.5 games, he's got a different spine. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, it's the mind boggles. And look, this team they're so anemic in attack, and I think that we all talk about like what is their game plan. Their game plan is to sort of go left and Ponga gets the ball left every single time. And that's not Ponga's fault. Like Ponga is fantastic at doing what he does. We're not bagging Ponga at all. He's the heart and soul of that team, and you take him out of that team and like they're flat out scoring any points at all.
Although I think I have bagged him a fair bit in the past.
You have more than I have.
I've called him a one-trick pony.
It's just this thing of like it's an overall club problem, and it's been an overall club problem there for a very long time. And they've had times where they've gone okay-ish, but outside of that have been abysmal, and it looks like they're going back to being abysmal again. And it is like their big idea is to go and get Dylan Brown for 10 years.
So
he's going to be in his mid-30s by the time that contract's over.
I had to do a preview for their matchup against the Sharks this week for the Knights game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little bit scathing might be a harsh word. I was a little bit negative on the Knights attack. Should I go through some of the key points I raised?
Yeah, go for it.
As a team, they rank in the bottom 4 for line breaks, post-contact meters, decoy runs, meters gained, runs, kick return meters, try assists. They've got 6 try assists this year. The next worst sides have 11.
Whoa.
Line break assists and handling errors. This is an attacking unit that's going through the motions. They are running the same system so frequently every game that they have become very easy to defend against, to the point that they have resorted to playing a bash and barge style with the only attacking flair coming from offloads and Ponga. Their halves are almost redundant. Basically, they're there just to kick the ball at the end of a set, and even then, it's just a high kick to the winger. How long before they decide to get a few extra wide ball runners to man the halves and kick? Their defense is doing great things, but their attack needs to exist. Their attack would need to be upgraded in order for it to be regarded as pedestrian. 9 points a game they're scoring. They've also played the Wooden Spooners for the last 3 years twice, as well as competition strugglers Titans and Dolphins. There's no excuses. Their attack is shit. It's like Shane Flanagan circa 2014, but with less injections and wins.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, Andrew, that's your masterpiece. That's your masterpiece.
We used to watch. This is the thing, okay? In our 20s, we grew up watching the Knights with Andrew Johns just putting on attacking clinics.
Mm.
And our teenage years. That's what we saw. The Knights just knew how to score points. So you watched them going, I know my side's going to lose, but at least they're going to lose to a team that's just so well drilled and is just going to score a ton of fucking points and they're going to be exciting to watch doing it.
Yep.
Fine, I'll sit through that. But now you watch them and going, what are they doing? And I watch every set and I'm like, why are you doing that when it failed the last 37 times you did that play? Like, why are you still doing it? And other teams are looking at them going, okay, we don't need to worry about putting 2 blokes here or there. Let's just do man up on everybody and just have one guy running around the back to cover Ponga. And that's what's doing. And they've made Ponga redundant because the rest of their attack is so pedestrian and easy to bloody stop.
Yeah, like all you really have to worry about is Bradman Best like rampaging.
Oh, and Marju as well. He's got pretty good
Marju. Yeah, but Marju is more. I find they don't use him when they're in the attacking side of the field.
They never do.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you'll see him do this awesome run, get running the ball back, and that's it. He's out of it for the rest of the set. It's just a poorly run club is what it comes down to. And you look at all of the halves that they've tried to roll the dice on, and like the quality of those players has never really been that great. And that's why they chop and change between all of them. And, they've got some players in the side that do the same shit every week. Like, just put money down on Saifidi fucking up. Just put money on it. Like, either one of them, even the one that went to the Titans, like, they do the same shit.
Dolphins.
Oh, yeah, the Dolphins. I always call them the Titans, hey?
Well, they're the same boring thing, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the irrelevant Queensland team.
It's another soulless enterprise in Queensland.
Oh, jeez, Andrew. Holy crap. The Dolphins aren't soulless. They might not have a location name, but that doesn't mean they're soulless.
You sure?
Well, Manly has a location name and they're soulless.
No, they've got. No, it's fair. So this Knights team, averaging less than 10 points per game after the first 5 games, they've become the 21st team to achieve that miserable feat since 1983. And I picked 83 because that's when 4-point tries began.
Okay. Who are the other ones?
All right, we'll go through the list here.
Can I guess some of them?
We're going in chronological order. Okay,
Okay.
There's two. There's two in 1984. Guess away.
1984. Illawarra, Canberra?
No, Penrith and West.
Ah, there you go.
85. There was two more teams.
I would pick the same ones again.
Well, one of them's right. West and Cronulla.
Okay, yeah. Oh, no, I said Canberra.
Oh, that's right. Well,
yeah,
fair enough. 1989, there was two teams. They didn't even get to 40 points after 5 games.
Oh, my God. 89. Who was bad in 89? The Seagulls?
Yes.
And I'd say the Knights.
West.
Wests, God, Wests are so bad. It's weird that like Wests have this giant long history of being terrible.
Yes, they do. 1992, there's just one team.
92, who was bad in 92? I'm going to go Wests.
It was Cronulla. It's almost like you were lulled into that one. Yeah. 1993, there was 3 teams.
Wow, 3 teams in 93. Well, I'm going to go Wests.
Yep.
I'm going 93. Oh. Newcastle?
No.
Man. Seagulls?
No.
No. Illawarra?
No.
Damn it.
Cronulla and Balmain.
I'm not going well. 93. Oh, my God. 90. Balmain goes from being in 2 straight grand finals and then 93 they're doing that shit.
Thanks, Alan Jones. 1995, one team. One of the new ones.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say the Cowboys.
No. It was the other soulless enterprise from Queensland.
Oh, I forgot about the Crushers.
Yes,
the poor Crushers. I remember when they announced the Crushers, and I'm only young, and I'm like, that team looks like the shit Queensland. It's like they said, let's make the shit Queensland team.
That's right. In 1996, there was 2 teams. Yeah. One, though, can get out. So I'll have to be a bit more clear on this. There were forfeits in round 1.
Yeah, the forfeits make it difficult.
So if we take the forfeits out, one and just go on games played, then one of them drops off this list, and that's Auckland.
Okay.
Because they're Fisher, they would have played 4 games.
Yeah.
But the other team,
West,
South Queensland. 1997, one team. There's a ARL team
in the ARL comp. Wests,
Parramatta.
Okay.
So we then go all the way until 2016.
Wow. Wests,
the Dragons. 2018, one team.
Wests,
Parramatta.
Damn it.
2021, there's 2 teams.
Oh, wow. Wests?
No.
2 teams in 2021.
Yep.
Knights?
No.
Bulldogs?
Yes, that's one of them.
Man, who else was terrible that year? I don't know. Who was it?
Manly.
That's surprising.
2022, there was 2 teams.
2022. I'll still go the Bulldogs.
Yes.
And 2022. Titans?
West?
God.
West
are screwing me, hey?
And it's 2025 as the Knights.
That's probably the worst I've ever done on guessing these things for anything we've ever done.
Yeah, I don't know why you kept abandoning West all the time, man. That was like a gimme.
I know. I tried. To be fair, it was the most obscure stat ever.
I mean, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's what I do. But there you go. That was basically the shit starting team. So the reason why I didn't go beyond 1983, not just because it was when 4-point tries come in, but because you have a look at, say, any of the seasons prior to World War One, and nearly every single team is averaging less than 10 points a game for the entire season. So I'd be just there all day collating data that's kind of pointless. But that goes to show also where the Knights' defence is, to where their attack is at the moment, that it's comparable with teams from 1909.
Yeah. Look, it was a fair point to do it for the 4-point change for the tries. It's funny when you see, like, people do lists and stuff and they make an arbitrary line in the sand. Like, there's one that I keep saying 1970. Somebody does, like, they keep naming teams and the best players and stuff from 1970 onwards. It's like, why? Why 1970?
Is that Oracle guy?
I wasn't going to name names, but you did.
Yeah, I know that guy. I've had a few arguments with him about some of the dumb opinions he's got.
Like, if it was, I understand if it was like the best teams I've seen, like maybe that's when he started. Like,
well, that's basically what it is.
Okay, well, what does it say that?
I don't know. Maybe
you and me do that. Like, we'll say these are the best players we've seen in our lifetime.
Maybe they know that they'll out themselves as, out their Ghost Rider.
I don't know.
Oh, it's an old bloke who was watching footy in the 70s. Gee, I wonder who that could be. Last time he might have been sober.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's interesting, like when you draw that arbitrary line in the sand.
I know, and I try to draw it along the lines where a rule change to change the way the game was played instead of going by, a time when the name of the sport got changed or something.
Yeah. Like, we've talked about this before and how I do it and how you do it is a bit different.
Yeah, but obviously you love the NRL era.
How dare you? How fucking dare you? What was it that I did? I was basically 1908 to World War II and then World War II until limited tackles. And then limited tackles until 10-metre rule, and then 10-metre rule until today.
Yeah,
that's how I did it, and you did it. You did it wrong.
Yeah, that's right. I went by scoring systems.
Okay, that's fair enough. But you also had a thing where there was another thing you had in there too.
Well, quite likely to. Would have been something really intelligent and sensible.
It was something even I found obscure.
Yeah. That sounds like me.
Yeah.
No, it would have been. I think it probably would have been something along the lines of the salary cap coming into play, because it would have leveled out the playing field an awful lot, because that wasn't in there.
You had a thing where it was like the settled era or something, where things didn't change for a long time in terms of the teams.
Oh, yeah, that would have been in the early parts of the season of the competition, because I can't remember what it was called, but from about 1929, 1930, let's go from say 1930 through to 1982. That whole period had no teams being axed.
Yeah.
So when you've got that much stability with your teams, the game gets to grow organically, gets better, the quality of the players get better. You start building a lot of good juniors coming through, so the quality of the players gets better as the game gets better, and allows you to change the rules without impacting the sport too savagely.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, instead of going by the wars, because I didn't feel that the wars actually had much of an impact on the game in Australia. It did in England.
Yeah.
Not so much over here. So I thought just doing that, I can't remember what they called it. They had a, I don't want to say era. It wasn't really an era.
There was a term that you said that they used for that.
It's in a bookie somewhere.
Yeah. So I use World War II mainly, and World War II isn't a hard and fast line because, as you say, it didn't have a huge effect. It's more of a it's more of an estuary almost between eras where I feel as though you've got the very early days of the game, and then after World War II, it sort of started being a little bit different up until we get to the,
I think that's a fair point though, because I think post World War II is as far back as journalists are willing to give a shit about. They tend to completely ignore everything that happened in the 40 years prior to that.
Yeah, which is infuriating.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I fucking hate it.
Because it's...
we put 3 guys in from the early days. That'll do. There's no more immortals from there. Going, fuck off.
It's all extremely documented.
Yes.
Maybe one of the most documented sports on the planet.
Well, reported on anyway, to some extent.
Yeah.
Journalists for years. Ian Heads is a good example. Very respected journalist and author. He spoke wildly for a long time about how great people like Clive Churchill, Duncan Thompson, these guys who played between the wars, how great they were, and after the wars, Herb Steinort, Jimmy Craig, praise these guys to the ends of the earth because they deserved it. And as soon as his voice went missing from that realm, everyone's just gone, oh, good, we don't need to talk about him anymore. Let's just talk about Jason Tormalolo and James Tedesco and Cooper Cronk.
Well,
no one else exists. It became very British media. Remember we saw a tweet by the British, one of the official British rugby league things. It's talking about, who's the greatest rugby league player of all time from England. They just rattled off a bunch of English guys from the 90s. It's like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, that where you and me were just like incredulous.
There's only one guy from the 90s who deserved to be in that list, and it was Ellery Hanley, and there's nobody else.
Look, we're at a point now where they just all go from 1998, which is like outrageous, and the idea that like in 1995, for instance, it was a completely different era, and it's like it wasn't. I watched it.
The rules didn't change.
Yeah, nothing changed. Like
all we had was more teams. That was it.
Yeah,
nothing fucking changed.
So stupid.
Well, they did the same. I mean, 1998 is a cutoff point. Stupid. Just because they brought all teams together doesn't mean shit. They were still all playing the same game.
Yeah.
The only change really was they had the video referee.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. When did they bring in the 40-20 kick?
Oh, that was a decade ago, so wouldn't it?
I feel like it's been around a bit longer than that.
Nah, hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's ask Grok.
Yeah, ask Grok. See what Grok says.
Grok is now our staff.
Well, we allow Grok to talk to us. We don't like our interns to talk to us. They're to be seen and not heard.
It's me now, Grok.
I'm going to say 2008.
You're saying 2008? I'm going with like 2015 or something like that.
Oh, really?
That's like 10 years ago. That's confused.
Really?
I'm getting nothing.
Yeah.
It's viewed 15 web pages. It seems lost. Okay, what's this? The NRL has announced a range of rule changes for the 2020 season relating to scrums. Oh, that's the 2040 kick. That doesn't count.
No, it's not the 2040 kick. How many times has that been used, by the way? 2 times, 3 times, ever?
So when did you think it was brought in?
2008.
And I said, hey, guess what?
What?
We're both a lot wrong.
Oh, really?
The 40-20 rule was introduced to the NRL in 1998.
Really? See, that's why
it was first implemented in 1997 in the Super League season.
Oh, yeah, but, Super League.
The rule rewards a team that kicks the ball from behind their own 40-metre line, blah, 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 blah. And the 2040 rule came in 2020.
Yeah.
What a great rule that was.
They need to get rid of that. That and the 2-point field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you kick for a field goal, it should not be a 7-tackle set.
Didn't it? Did it not used to be that if you kicked a if you kicked a field goal, if you attempted to kick a field goal, then a restart had to be taken where the defending team had to do a dropout from their own 20-metre line. You remember that?
I think what you're thinking of is, wasn't there a rule where if you took a kick at penalty goal and you missed it, right, the other team had to drop it, do a drop kick from the 20-metre line? Did
that not used to also apply to field goals, or did they just do a restart from the middle?
I don't remember it ever being on field goals personally.
I'm old though.
Oh, you're so fucking old. I can't believe it sometimes.
Let's remember that. Let's not forget that. You young whippersnapper. All right? Back in my day. We did a dropout from the 20-yard line. 20 yards. We used yards, mate.
Yards,
I'm not talking about 3 feet. I'm talking about a fucking 1 acre yard. Our fields were the size of suburbs, right? Back in my day. And we played in 40-degree hot snow. Right,
40-degree, and you know what? Every half you were running upfield, so you'll run up a hill somehow.
Yeah, we're playing at Odsal every week. It was just a bowl.
Yeah,
that's what we played. Playing the Odsal Bowl. Oh well, back in my day, fuck no.
I love those quirky rules that have stuck around for forever, and I just love them. I absolutely love them.
You know, one that's been dabbled with so many times and considered so many times since the 20s, and that was to deal with halfbacks illegally feeding the scrum. Was, why don't we just get the referee to do it?
Yeah, that's a strange one, that one, eh?
And that one comes up every now and again. It doesn't anymore, but it used to all the time. Every decade you'd see calls for that would come up every now and then. Why don't we just get the halfbacks why don't we just get the referee to feed the ball in the scrum?
I'd kind of like to see that come in just to see.
I think they tried it in an preseason games in the early 20s. And they went, nah.
Yeah, I want to see how insane you can send people. Like a referee feeds a scrum, and like if you lose that scrum or anything happens at all, like, because I would go crazy.
People would be slowing down the play going, has his hand turned slightly upwards on one side of the ball to make it spin towards the other team? And going, look, his right hand is 3 millimeters higher than the left. He's turning to give that to the other team. And that's what will happen. Thank you, 4K Ultra HD. We can see where the referee's cheating to the nearest millimeter.
The field goal, kicking a dropout from the 20-metre line, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see, like, if a team misses a penalty kick, I'd love to see that come back.
You know what I'd like to see, but instead of having the dropout from the 20-metre line, because to me that just seems very rugby union, what I'd like to see is just the ball put on the ground, not on a mound of sand or on a kicking tee, just on the ground, and you have to kick it off the ground soccer style. That's what we should be doing instead.
You know what? If you did that because the thing is, with the dropouts that they've got now, where you've got to drop it out from your own line and teams are going for short dropouts, the thing that they did that for was being kicked 50 metres downfield, and then you've got that run back and they're trying to cut down on concussions, right?
Yeah.
So if the ball had to be kicked off the ground from those dropouts, I think you would still see it being hoofed downfield rather than it be a short kick.
Possibly. But the thing is, you can't kick it. It's going to be harder to kick it over people's heads because it's just going flat on the ground.
True.
So it's just going to be going into shins and shit.
Well, you know what you would do is you would just aim for the closest player.
Exactly
and just
right.
Fucking boot it at them.
Yeah, we'll go from about concussions to worry about blokes having their testes ruptured from these kids off the ground. We've got to do something about these kicking the ball off the ground. It's destroying our upcoming juniors. The numbers are dropping off.
Man, it's brutal when you say someone kick a ball and it travels a few yards or a few meters and hits someone like full power. I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but we used to sit at high school. There would be some steel chairs, and one side of the chairs was all the footy fields, and then the other side was basketball courts. And so if we were eating before we were going to play footy and the basketball come to us, get the basketball and you'd boot it, right? Because that's what you do, because we're a bunch of jerks. Well, one of my friends got it once and went to kick it over the top of the whole canteen building, and he booted this ball and it travelled like 1.5 feet and hit another one of my friends right in the head. Oh. And he booted it. And wow. Yeah, it just was like, boom.
That would be brutal.
Yeah, it was. It was really brutal.
Wow, wait.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times. Well, speaking of good times, get on to the main part of our podcast now.
Oh,
Piastri. Piastri's come through with a win.
I watched it.
Likewise.
Yeah, just did everything that we talked about he needed to do, like just led from the front, never looked ever in trouble. Lando Norris was trying to trip over himself quite a bit and did pretty well considering that he did that. But
Norris loves to bottle things all the time. He's a real bottle merchant.
Yeah, he's got it in him, which is a bit of a worry for him. We saw that at the end of last year in Brazil, where that was just lined up for him perfectly and he just choked so hard.
I think if Piastri has another 2 or 3 wins out of the next 3 or 4 races, I wouldn't be surprised if McLaren just go, you know what, I think this is the guy we need to get behind now.
Look,
Norris gets pushed to the back a little.
I have a feeling that Piastri is just a better driver this year. And
he is remarkable. And the thing that helps him too is he's so fucking chill.
Yeah.
His composure is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you saw that in the last couple of years where, like, he'd been involved in a real battle, and you hear him over the communications that they sometimes put up on the broadcast, and he just sounded like he was sitting in his lounge room, which is crazy. But yeah, I think he's just a faster driver this year for whatever reason. Maybe the car come to his sort of style or whatever. I think he's the faster of the 2 races at the moment, and it's really good that he's putting it in the early stages of the season. But he's going to have races where it doesn't work for him, and that's where he needs to get the points, like Lando Norris did in the last race. Like it could have gone really bad for Norris in this last race, and he still got 3rd. So
that's the thing too. If you think, if Oscar hadn't touched the grass in Australia, think of where he'd be on the drive. He'd be leading the Drivers' Championship at the moment. He's only 3 points behind Norris.
Yeah,
and he finished 9th in Australia, and he was sitting 2nd at the time or 3rd.
Yeah,
if he had finished up there, man, he'd be in front of Norris by nearly 10 points at this stage.
And he just can't afford those sorts of performances.
No. Very interesting race. Wasn't a huge much else to see there. It's good to see Lance Stroll back where he belongs at the bottom of the pack.
But Doohan did better in this race. He needed to show a little bit of composure, and I think he did that in this race, which was.
It's almost like that high speed crash that he was self-inflicted at Japan last week. Kind of just hit the restart button. He was looking a hell of a lot better this week. Maybe when they rebuilt the car, they actually rebuilt it properly. It works this time.
Maybe.
He was phenomenal.
Verstappen, it looks like the Red Bull just hasn't got an edge at all this year. And I think if anybody else was driving that car, they'd be down in the lower half of the race, the field. But
Tsunoda has proven that he was the guy who should have been put in that second car all along. He got a good 9th out of that car.
Yeah. And Lawson, I feel sorry for the young dude because he had so many big raps on him, and he is just whatever is going on with him, it's just not working out whatsoever. And it's sad to see, you know, this dude with all of these raps on him, and it's just been terrible.
I just don't think he's got the pace.
Yeah, he doesn't. And he made some terrible mistakes in this race too.
Yeah, it's easy to look good when you're in a shit car and there's no expectations, and that's what he had the whole time when he was at Racing Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I put him in that Red Bull car, I said, okay, mate, we're in one of the, top 3 cars, top 4 cars. We need you to be performing. And, retired, 12th, qualifying. He wasn't even getting out of the first stages of qualifying.
Mm.
This is like, man, what are you doing? Like, we got rid of Perez for being shit, and he was still getting in the top 10. We expected more. This is what I was saying all along is all Red Bull needed was just a bloke who could get the car to finish a race in the top 10 and not keep crashing the fucking thing all the time like Perez was doing, which is what Ricciardo would have done for them. And because what you get Ricciardo for these days is to just get the car home and then do a fuck ton of PR.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to do those two things. And he wouldn't have been out there trying to compete with Max, because Max would have absolutely washed the floor with him.
Yeah.
So it would have been fine. And that's all they ever needed. And instead they've completely forgotten what the hell they're doing. And they're just putting anybody anywhere. Thankfully, Sonoda was there and he was patient. He stayed with the team because he does have what it takes to get that car around. And he's also not a guy who crashes on a regular basis. So you'll get the car home more often than not, which is what they need to get back up and being competitive in the driver's standings.
Yeah.
At the Constructors' Championship. So that's going to be better. It's good to see that the Ferraris are starting to get their shit together a little bit too.
Yeah, they had an interesting strategy in this race, and at times it looked like it was going to be a disaster, but it actually come around to them, which was good to see.
Yeah, usually Ferrari and strategy are two things that don't agree with one another.
No, but they made some really good decisions, so that was good to see. But it's turning into an all right season. Like, there's a lot of moving parts going on, and we've got, like, at least with McLaren, we have 2 legitimate drivers that both are very close to one another. And one of them is going to be the world champion. So,
well, that's the thing, though. I mean, will they? Because while they're sitting there taking wins off each other, Verstappen is not that far behind. He's on 69 points. Lando's on 77. Piastri's on 74. Russell's on 63. Those look like they're going to be our top 4 for the majority of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I do suspect that Leclerc and Hamilton should climb up a bit higher. They both had disqualifications at China, which dropped their scores down a fair bit. But
yeah,
I expect them to improve and get right back up there a bit further up.
You know who I still like is that Antonelli kid.
He's got some ticker about him.
Yeah, he does moves in races that you're like, ooh. Like, and there's not many drivers that do that so quickly where you're like, oh, man, this dude, like, fucking he pulled that out. That was interesting. So I really like him.
Well, we've got another race this weekend at Saudi Arabia, at Jeddah. It's a meh sort of track. But,
yeah.
I expected the Bahrain track we just watched the race at. I thought that was going to be another procession. But it looks like Pirelli's realised that changing the tyres, forcing teams to do 2 stops, it actually has a huge improvement on the race.
Yeah, and like you can see with the decisions they're making in dry conditions anyway, the teams are not as locked in on the tyres as they have been in previous years. So there are decisions that are being made during the race where they're not sure what the outcome could be, but they think it'll work out for them, and that leads to, like, you've got all of these different strategies going on during the race, and that's good to see.
Yeah, because the thing that's been weird is that when they pick the soft, medium, and hard tyres for each race, they've always picked 3 that are within 1 grade of each other.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them go fucking crazy on this.
Yeah.
Like make the absolute softest one race. Then the medium can be like 2 gradients higher, and then the hard one be the absolute hardest tyre they have. Just completely mix it up. Or go the other way. Have the medium as the second highest one, and the hardest one of all, and the soft one is the absolute softest one. Just go, come on, what do you got?
It'd be
really muck them up knowing they've got to mix up compounds and everything.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if you could get to a point where, like, keeping in mind they have to make one stop and they have to change tyre compounds. If you could get it where, like, say, and just say a race is, I don't know, let's say it's 60 laps, right? Where the soft lasts for, say, 8 laps, but it is so quick. But after 8 laps, it's dead. Like you can't.
What the ultra soft used to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And the hard, you could do the rest of the race on the hard tyre, but you're going to be quite a bit slower. And so you might get a one stopper going up against someone that's trying to do like a fucking 4 stopper. You know,
that's exactly what it needs to be.
Yeah,
like, they'll some actual strategy in there.
Yeah, they'll start on the hard tyre, get that out of the way quickly, and then just do 4 stops on this like ultra soft tyre that is lightning quick. Meanwhile, Verstappen's chugging along just on the hard tyre. He's not stopping at all. That'd be interesting.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I am here for it. So, yeah, that'll be on this weekend. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that.
There's some other news. I know we're not a rugby league podcast, but I thought I'd bring it up. Technically. But the test match at Everton Soccer Stadium, they've said that it's a sellout. In rugby league, a sellout means that there's a big crowd, but it's not necessarily a sellout.
It means they sold the first 100 tickets.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but they said it was a sellout, so that's good news.
How big's that stadium?
I don't know the capacity. I would guess it's around, I'm going to guess just on the size of it, I'm going to say 55 to 60. Is
that Goodison Park?
No, it's I think it's literally just called the New Everton Stadium or something like that. It probably has a fucking some company.
Oh, okay, it's near Goodison Park
Stadium.
Right. Okay. Capacity is 52,888.
Oh, there you go. It's a little smaller than I thought.
Construction cost. Do you reckon Salford could cover this one? £750 million.
That's really good value, I reckon. It's an all right stadium.
Oh my God!
Look, we're paying, what is it, $300 million for 2 stands at Penrith for 1,200 extra seats.
Yeah. How much was Combank?
I think Combank was $350 million.
Right. Okay. Why didn't they just rip down the Panther Stadium and build a new one?
Because they fucked around for so long, and then inflation hit, and they all fucked it. Every single person that was involved fucked it.
I love it. We should pull the plug before we start getting political and start sounding like, every 5 minutes of a YouTube.
The good thing about when we get political is that we don't like any of them.
Yeah.
So we just bag everyone. It's like if you like anybody, you know that we don't like them. So
I'll give this bit of advice.
Yeah.
Whenever you hear a political party saying that we're the better financial managers, just remind yourself of where the current financial situation is and recognise that both political parties have been involved in getting us to where we are right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Oh, shit. Exactly.
Well, you got to remember.
They're all so terrible.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you check us out on all of the socials. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Apparently, we should check that out one day. So, by all means, especially on YouTube, go over there, subscribe, like all the videos. That'd be fantastic. And we'll catch us all next time.